Hello.
Hi there.
How are ya?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm dealing with the waiting room. Let me go let everybody in. There we go. Cool. Glad you're here.
Nice to be here. Hey, Jonathan.
Hi, good to see you.
You too.
Yeah.
All right. How are the
See,
babies?
they are well. They are well. Other than the fact that they are in the phase where they like to express themselves by throwing their food. So that's sort of like the initial. That's the new challenge. Yeah, it's good
That's probably
times.
kind of cute at least.
Well, depends where they're aiming. Yeah. We hopefully will have some new folks joining us. So I'm shared out this session through the Maverick Network, which is an entity connecting the University of Maryland that kind of is trying to bring together all of the different folks that are interested in all things immersive and immersive technologies in the kind of larger DC Baltimore area. So yeah, hopefully some of those folks will show up today as well.
Cool. I'm seeing new names already.
Great.
Yeah. Um, and I'm just gonna text our good friend Erin. I know she knows that's happening, but I just want to remind her.
Mhm. Elizabeth Leister, how's this semester going since I'm getting to actually see you?
It's going well. We're into
Yeah,
the last 4 weeks, which is crazy. Yeah. Yeah. So
yeah,
it's pretty much lab time. They're just executing at this point, which is
nice.
exciting. Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah. And I know that it seems like almost every year there's almost like a slightly new focus that you're working on. Is there anything this year that you sort of are trying to insert in the program for your students?
Well, we got some motion capture systems, so that's been a huge, just a big change for workflow and what students are able to like bring into their projects. So that's been super exciting,
Great.
and doing video projection mapping too. So yeah, always new stuff happening.
Good.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, thanks for
Great.
asking.
Yeah.
Y'all keep chatting for a second. I gotta send the right link to Erin.
Ooh.
Great.
Are you teaching this semester, Jonathan?
No, so I'm here in LA too much to be teaching back and forth, but been back quite a bit for some various research projects
Cool.
lately. Yeah, which has been really really good, and working on projects where we're translating science through immersive media and performing arts. So getting to learn a lot about quantum computing
Ooh.
in the last year.
Ah,
And yeah, it's been exciting actually finding ways that we're using dance in one project and music in another project to kind of just translate the basic ideas behind it in a way that people who know nothing about quantum mechanics or quantam computing can get a general sense of it and sort of feel what they're like. So that's exciting work to see how um, both technology and embodied art forms are
yeah,
actually quite good at communicating science.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Elizabeth, what are you teaching as we're waiting for Erin to show up?
I teach sort of our beginning intro to immersive, which is pretty much all 360 video production. And then I teach our capstone class, which is focuses primarily on generating augmented reality projects, but it's a community service class. So we build AR for different organizations on campus or local nonprofits. and then this video mapping class. Yeah. So sounds
Super cool.
sounds like a lot, actually, as I'm saying that.
Yeah.
It
It feels
does.
like a lot.
Great. Too.
Speaking of a lot, Elizabeth, I'm wondering since if we have some new folks who are joining us today, if it might be good to kind of key into Erin's talk, but just sort of briefly saying what IXA is and how these monthly meetups kind of fold into all that.
I will gladly let you do that
Great.
since you're gathering the membership, and then I'll do
Sure.
an intro to Erin, et cetera. Yeah. So go ahead.
That sounds great. So, yes, if we have some new folks that are joining us today, this is the Immersive Experience Alliance's monthly online programming, and so as you'll see today, we're bringing in thought leaders who are really usually straddling both the worlds of application of immersive in industry as well as in academics, and kind of looking at the intersection of those two and starting to do, among other things, create and craft a common language for how we talk about these pieces, share best practices, that sort of thing. And so I will drop a link just to the IXA website so you have that here in case you're interested in joining us as members. And um, some of the other programming that we do specifically for members, both for academic units and industry partners that we work with. And also drop my email in here. So if you're curious to know more about what does membership mean, that kind of thing, feel free to reach out. I'll drop my name in there um, to ask any questions. And so with that, let me toss it over to you, Elizabeth, to kick us off for today.
Cool. Yeah. So this is, we've been doing programming for the IXA Alliance since March. And, exactly what Jonathan said is this week we're going into Erin, our chair of the organization, is going to present on a project that I'm excited to learn a lot about. She's got an incredible, you know, dialogue and way of framing immersive experiences that I just find so rich and enlightening. And I learn so much every time she speaks. And before we let her speak, though, I do want to, tell you just to Jonathan's point. Today is sort of more of a case study, a real experience, but also, in academia. But in December, we've got somebody, Michael Potts, who builds immersive worlds and makes a living out of it. And so it's his title is Building Immersive 3D Worlds and the Evolution of a Business Model, because it took him a long time to kind of navigate through finding out how to, do that and where the opportunities are. So that's coming up next. But so before I speak any further, I'm going to introduce Erin Reilly from UT Austin, and I'm sure she's going to have some slides about what all she does and teaches before she talks about the trees.
Can you see me? Because I feel like it's all like no videos are on, Elizabeth.
We can see you, but we can't see your screen.
Oh, I can't see anyone. That's what's super weird.
I promise we're here.
Your promise from here. Okay. Like, oh,
Do
I'm
you,
just
do you
gonna
need to go
wing
out
it.
and come back in?
I guess so, because I'm a little concerned that I can't see anyone and I can't see myself either, though that doesn't really matter. I'm just kind of a little like it's weird not talking to anybody. Are you guys have all your cameras on?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let me come back in
Okay. No
just to
problem.
see if I can get it working correctly. Does that sound good?
That sounds great.
Okay,
Did
I'll
you
be
try
right.
to change your view
Um,
gallery?
on, can you see me? Hmm.
We see a screen or something. Oh,
View gallery. I'm in gallery right now. And it's just, I guess my question is do all of you have your camera off or is the camera's not working
no,
for me?
we all have our camera on and we see you. And I see everybody. Yes.
Okay. Okay,
You made a funny face.
I'm gonna come out and come back in and see if my camera starts working again
Sounds
really
good.
quick. Okay, sorry y'all.
No problem.
And thank you, Natalie, for dropping a quick introduction to yourself in the chat. If there's anybody else who wants to drop in an introduction, we'd love to know who's here. Jen, by the way, that looks like an absolutely beautiful creature that is right over your shoulder. Is that okay? Hold on. Just love this.
This is my dog Parker, and she is going to be barking any second because my daughter just came home from school. I'm Jen Landis. I work at the University of Lincoln, Nebraska. Um, I am here, so I'll turn my mic.
Thanks for joining us, Jen,
Yeah.
along with your assistant.
It's kind of blending in with your hair, so I didn't really see the creature until it started to move.
We're definitely twinning.
Yeah, happy to introduce myself. I'm in California. I'm Natalie Mate, and I used to be an independent XR creator, and for the last 2 years, I've been teaching games and XR at Northeastern University in Oakland. They have a new campus there. So,
Yay, I can see you guys now. So much better. I was like, it was all black screens, and I was like, this is super weird. Okay, I'm ready to go now.
Awesome.
Sorry.
Let me give you sharing permissions again.
Okay, sounds good. And let me bring
Are you
this
able
here.
to share?
Share my screen. Yay. Can you guys see that?
We
Oh, my
can.
messy desktop. And I'm going to go all the way to the beginning. Present. Okay, you guys see that?
Looks great.
Okay, great. So I know you actually said, Elizabeth, I should introduce myself a little bit. So I'll give you a little background. So I'm Erin Reilly, and I'm a professor and founding director of Texas Immersive Institute. I'm here at the University of Texas at Austin. And the project I want to kind of drill down with you is Haiku Horizons. And this was a global project that I did with Keio University in Tokyo, Japan. And I wanted to introduce this one to you because I promised I would talk a little bit about what it's like building partnerships. I think that's what we were discussing, Elizabeth, is like, how do you like create these partnerships and what does a partnership across universities look like? And I thought that this one is a good example, not only because there were promises and challenges with it, and I can kind of go over those, but also it's a very fresh case study because we just finished it last week by releasing it publicly to Austin, Austin here. And on Tuesday of this week, the students who participated in the program are going to present it to the global office, and that will become full circle as to the things we've been doing for now over a year. So let me tell you a little bit about how this got started. Um, uh, we um, we have a program here at the University of Texas at Austin that maybe some of you also at other universities have through the global office. It's called the President's Award for Global Learning. And a donor has actually given enough funds for faculty to apply for this award. And it allows you to not only do cross-cultural exchange, but find a partner in another university to kind of build a project with. And so, and it has to be at least two faculty from two different colleges to come and work together. So I received a grant in 2024, summer 2024, to kind of study immersive experiences. I'm working on a book called Being Immersed, and I wanted to make sure I had international examples to represent it. And I've been very inspired by the Japanese culture on immersion, from not only the emerging technology that they have there, but also the whole idea of ritual. And I've liked to study some of the rituals they have and how to tie it to immersive experiences. So I went there on my own first and received actually just kind of cold, soft, cold introduced myself to Masa, who is the dean of the Graduate School of Media and Design at Keio University. He and I have a very, very loose connection through one of our friends who made this introduction. And then he just said, "Yeah, come on by." So I think that's the first thing I'd say about partnerships is always call upon your network to say, "Hey, I'm going to blank. Do you know anyone in this area?" And that's literally how I got introduced to Masa is I actually reached out in on LinkedIn and Facebook and all the social networks going, "Hey friends, I'm going to Japan. I'd really like to meet other immersive experience artists and technologists and designers. Would you like to make an introduction?" And that's how I got introduced to KO. When I went there, and I don't have any photos, I didn't pull up photos, but I do have, I actually do, and I'll share with you really quick. Let me just stop really quick. If you want to know the whole beginnings of how this began, on my blog post, I run a Medium blog post, and I actually wrote a whole entire presentation called My Summer in Japan. So I'll put this link in there. It's a journey of immersive discovery. And here, on literally day one of my trip, I went and spent a day at the Embodied Media Lab at Keio University. And they brought their graduate students out. Here's Masa on the left. And I met his postdoc, Dr. Barbareschi, who literally just kind of showed me all their different experiences. So here's me testing B Haptics Vest. And this was a way where the graduate student on the right is kind of showing me how we can long distance feel and touch each other through virtual means. And I actually hung out with this guy a lot. I was studying death at the time, and he was too. And you could sit in this synesthesia chair and totally kind of like get released and like feel like you were like living above your body. So that was pretty amazing. And it was just a grateful start. I was so grateful for this start of my journey here because it started a long conversation, right? It started like a, hey, I'm interested in haptics. You're interested in haptics. How can we start thinking about some sort of partnership? And while a partnership didn't emerge immediately, we really just started talking with each other. And when the global award came about, I said, here's an opportunity where maybe I could actually bring students back and we could actually dig into haptics a little bit more. So that was almost 2 summers ago. So like at least a year and a half ago, summer 2024. So more than almost about 2 years where I started initiating this conversation. So I would say definitely kind of reach out to your audience, reach out to your, not audience, reach out to your community, get connected and kind of do your own research first and kind of build that relationship. What came from that is when this award came out, I did two things. One, I reached out to a faculty in College of Fine Arts, Kate Frere. And Kate I had a very loose connection at the time. She was in the College of Fine Arts. I'm in the Moody College of Communication, but we both do immersive design from very different perspectives. She runs the Integrated Media MFA program and really teaches graduate students how to use projection mapping and interaction in a lot of live performative theater. And I, at Texas Immersive Institute, focus more on experience design and storytelling and how to really think about audience participation and interaction. So I reached out to her and was like, hey, there's this award. Do you want to come together and propose a project to the global office? I have a partner who we might be able to do at Keio University in Tokyo. So we got together and I'll share my screen now. This will kind of begin the journey of my presentation. Present. So this brought us to submitting a grant for a project called Haiku Horizons bridging cultures through creative technology and immersive experience. So at the beginning of the global award, Kate and I actually wrote this initial idea. Let's do Haiku Horizons. Let's focus on the global challenge of climate change and really think about the interconnectedness of nature, technology, and human creativity. And we got Masa, who introduced us to Kota, one of his professors who ran the Embodied Media Lab that I had visited a year ago from when we were applying for this, to agree to partner with us. And like we would do a cultural exchange, but also a student conversation. At the time when we submitted this, we thought we could bring graduate students with his graduate students. So this is the first kind of like know all the details and be able to kind of move zig and zag when things don't go exactly as planned. So what we did was, and this is Kate. Here's Kate with me. We were the initial faculty team. This is KO University. They're very known for their cutting edge technology. And when we received the grant, we had to recruit students into a year-long program. And this is when we found out early on that what we had told KO we were going to do with graduate students in this graduate student exchange would not work because then we realized the global award was for undergraduate students. So uh, I'll just stop there so you can see my face. That was a little bit of a surprise, right? So here we are thinking we're going to have this graduate exchange, and then we have undergraduate students. And KO is like, oh, what are we going to do? So we had to go back to the drawing board right when we're recruiting undergraduate students, and we were like, hey, this is a great recruiting opportunity for you. Undergraduate students, some of them will want to go to graduate school. And they liked that answer. So we were like, yay, we figured it out. It could be a recruiting, where undergraduate students could kind of see what the graduate students are like, and maybe it would spark them to apply to go to graduate school at KO University. KO University is an international school, and more than half of their students are international students. So that played to our advantage of like kind of going over that hump first. The other thing was we were like, well, this will be a great kind of mentoring opportunity for your graduate students. They can join the team, and there could be some mentoring opportunities. From the KO side, they were like, oh, wow, maybe we should get more faculty involved. At first, we were only going to partner with Embodied Media Lab. And so they were starting to think maybe actually if this is a recruiting opportunity, we should introduce them to other faculty. The other thing to think about in a partnership, especially from international, is our academic calendars do not match up. So when we were going into spring, which I'm going to share with you what we did in spring, they were majority of the time on vacation. So that was very hard. And how the whole once we received the grant, how it worked is we had to recruit between 12 to 20 students to come and participate in the program. The students had to commit to a year-long program, which meant spring semester, they would do a 3 credit class with us. Then they would go with us in the summertime for 6 weeks to Japan to actually not only do a cultural exchange and travel with us to different parts of Japan, but we would also build the experience that we designed in the spring while we were in Japan. And then that was no credit. So just a 3 credit class in the spring, the travel opportunity in the summer, and then they had to return this fall, right now, for a 1 credit class where they had to take all of what they learned in spring and summer and actually recreate the experience for Austin and actually share out their findings. So on Tuesday, they're going to share out their findings, and we've fully completed the year experience. We had to, as faculty, Kate and I, put out a call for students to apply to get into this program. It was the largest call the global office has ever had. I think all students want to go to Japan. So another kind of note, take your students to Japan. Everyone wants to go to Japan, except for except for now it's too expensive because I don't know if you've been watching Japan, but the prices have just gone skyrocketed just since we've gotten back. Over 90 students applied, and we picked 16 students to go. Um, and I'll share with you a little bit here about what did spring look like. But I'm going to pause because I like conversation. So before I get into like each some spring, summer, fall, does anyone have any questions about like the beginnings of this partnership or like what we had to do to like apply and get the students on board? Anyone?
I was curious, Erin, how did you choose which students to take with you and narrow them down from that many?
Yeah, good question. So, we actually asked them we wanted to think about cross-disciplinary teams because we knew that we were going to have all 16 students designing an immersive experience together, and they needed to have different skills. So we asked them to apply as a team of 3 to 4 students with different skill sets and to take our climate change idea of haiku horizons and climate change and pitch an idea to us that perhaps could be integrated into the overarching idea. So everyone pitched in teams, and we narrowed it down. I think from that, like, what was it, 85 students, we narrowed it down to a 24. And then we did interviews with each team. And from those interviews, we picked 4 teams. And those 4 teams were definitely interdisciplinary. One team wanted to do the pottery, the Kiragi pottery, where it's all blended in a whole idea of imperfections. One actually focused on heat and drought resistance. One focused on food and from like the elementary school in Japan, they very much focus on like a balanced meal and really like food to table, like really understanding where your food comes from and lack no waste, right? So we focused on that. And then another one focused on, uh, kind of like the metrics of climate change. So we are like, oh, this is interesting, wide variety. From the disciplines, the students I had 2 pre-med students. I had arts, entertainment, technology. I had advertising students. I had a art historian, liberal arts. I would say of the 16 students, 6 of them were from the Japanese club on campus. So we didn't want to rely only on one student that spoke Japanese. So we wanted to really make sure that there was some students that had that cultural knowledge so that it would be shared across everybody. It was really intentionally thought through how those 16 students would work together. And as far as did students pay? No. This donor, I don't know who this donor is, but we all want this donor. The donor covered not only Japan, but Scandinavia and India, about the same amount of students, and funded the full everything, you know? So that's 16 students and 2 faculty, 1 graduate research assistant, and then a third faculty we brought on because we felt like we had a hole of not understanding the culture as much, and we wanted someone from Asian studies. So we brought on her for 2 weeks. She came for 2 weeks, and she also participated in the spring, Kirsten. Um, and this, even if the students had to get a passport for the first time, the global office paid for the passport. So it's pretty incredible. I feel very lucky to have had this donor give this entire program to the students. But huge steep price if you were doing it on your own. Yeah, so that's something to be considered. I will tell you though, it was a lot of work. We when I did get to really have a course release to teach this class in the spring, only because my director loves me because the global office expected us to teach this class on top of our load. And I would highly recommend that's a bad idea because it was a lot of work. So luckily both Kate and I got a course release to do this class. But even the summer, you think you're on vacation, you're like, oh, I'm going to Japan, it's gonna be great. There's a lot of work. It's like if you've ever done an educational abroad program, expect, and these are undergrad students, it was a lot of work of like oversight and kind of teaching them to like, go, little bird, jump, go, be on your own, do things and everything. So that was super fun too. And if you've never done that before, it was a little bit of a learning curve. So that was fun. And then also you had your partner who had expectations as well, and their faculty and their students that you were interacting with. So it was constantly checking in with them, making sure you're doing the cultural exchange. Yes, it's 24/7, lots of legal and safety. Yes, you've done this. It is totally a lot of work. And I don't feel like we were fully prepared for that. So, from a partnership standpoint, I think asking more and more questions or talking to people that have done it before is really important if you plan on doing anything like this in your class. Please come talk to me. I have over drinks. I have lots to share, but we're gonna like kind of narrow this in. So let me share with you. Anyone else have any other questions before I get going? Because if not, I'll explain spring. Yeah? Okay, great. Okay, let me jump to spring. Spring. Oops. There we go. Okay, here's spring. So this was a 3 credit course. We met weekly with the students from on Monday evenings. And by the end of the semester, our goal was that they would have like a clear map of the immersive experience and how we would partner with Japan and really understand not only what is an immersive experience. And remember, I had students who had never done an immersive experience before. They didn't have that type of skill set. So we were kind of starting from scratch to get everyone on the same page. And so where did we begin? We did a lot of field trips. So we took them to Houston and we did Meow Wolf. We introduced them to Strange Bird. We took them to Mesmerize here in Austin. They got a lot of behind the scenes of, of understanding how an immersive experience works. And we also we kind of split it up, and I did a lot of the storytelling and experience design using design thinking and kind of some of my workshops. We had them actually really start taking their 4 different ideas that they had pitched in their application and converging them together into an overall idea during the spring experience. And we sent them out into the world. There's a Planet Texas kind of like research interest group that hosted a big symposium, and we required the students to go to that a conference to learn about sustainable development practices. And at the same time, I was holding one of my build fests on haptics work. We were using data field, touch design, and students came and learned a little bit about the technologies that we could use and that they would learn more about during the during our time in Tokyo. And then also we did technical workshops besides the Build Fest. This was our classroom. We had them learn about projection mapping and how to use recycled materials to actually create fabrication and art, so that they learned that everything we didn't want to build out something that would have to be moved to Tokyo. We wanted to go to Japan and find sustainable materials and kind of repurpose them for our overall experience. So that was all during the spring. Now, while we were in the spring, I have to jump and tell you here really quick that you can see we don't have a lot of like Zoom images of us talking with KO. And this was a little bit of a surprise because where we thought we would be talking with them and meeting their grad students, I heard from them week 1 and week 2 of class, and then they dropped off. And I can show you all my emails of me emailing them a lot. And we didn't hear from them again until the last week of class. So I was super nervous going into summer because we hadn't really heard from them, and we were wondering how we were going to take these ideas and put them into building and releasing in Tokyo if they hadn't really been part of the conversation. So at the very last minute, and I'm sorry, I don't have any images for this, so I'm going to just jump back for us to talk for a minute. At the very last minute, I got this 10 emails all at once from Japan. And it was not only introducing me to, I'm not just partnering with the Embodied Media Lab, they've gotten all 4 labs at KO to partner with us. And here's an introduction to 6 faculty, not 1 faculty that we're partnering with. So that was a little like overwhelming, but also like, wow, right? So we had the Embodied Media Lab, which was doing haptics and XR work. We had Geist that was doing biometric kind of measurement studies of XR material. We had the Future Crafts Lab because they knew we were doing fabrication. So they had a whole fabrication lab that was on board now. And we also had a kind of design thinking lab that was on board. So we were introduced the last week of class to all these faculty, and the schedule I had designed, not hearing from them, I was beginning to like always be prepared for a backup plan. So I had already had put a backup plan in place that like, oh my God, I've lost this partnership. We're going to just do this like in nature on our trip, so like, because the show must go on, right? So we were like, we're going to figure it out and build something and it's going to be great. And then it was like, oh no, they're on board. We're going to do 2 weeks with them. And now not only do we have access to them, they've given us full access to their university, keys, you name it, they're on board. So from a student perspective, it's a little nerve-wracking to not be able to communicate to the students, hey, here's what's going on with our partner, and here's the schedule. So it was really teaching them a lot about being adaptable. Hey, we're not sure. And I was very transparent with the students, like, hey, we're not sure what's going to happen here, but let's be adaptable. Let's actually be gracious for our hosts who are like welcoming us in, and your project might evolve while we're in Tokyo. And just as soon as we learn more about what the labs are able to support and how they want to contribute. So be willing to iterate on your idea. And I think that's how we prepped them at the end, was come in with an idea, but be willing to adapt and iterate as you encourage your partner to join in on the conversation. And I think for the most part, the students were like, okay, we can do that. That will give them something to kick off, and then we'll see where we go. The problems with that, though, is the students were like, we're not sure if we have enough time to build the full immersive experience if we're going to be so adaptable and iterate. And so we kind of let them know, like, hey, let's think about Japan as the first prototype, the iteration. If we're going to release it to the public, it'll be the first round. When you come back to Austin, we can kind of clean it up some more, and you can do a second round. So that helped kind of like reduce the stress and anxiety of the students of like, hey, here's an opportunity to kind of learn about iteration and to learn about adaptability, and to kind of like be gracious to who they are. So that was spring. And I'm going to jump into summer now, and then I'll pause. Sorry, y'all. I have too many things open. There we go. Okay, so summer. So in summer, when we went to Japan, and see, here's our group from KO. When we actually ended in Japan, we had broken up into these roles. So it's also really important not only thinking about your international partner, but thinking about your partners internally that you're working with. When you have different faculty working together, you have to have real honest open conversations of like, what's your skill set? And we had a whole survey we had everybody fill out of what are your hard skills, what are your soft skills, what are you really good at but you don't want to do. Because I think that's also important is like if people learn you're an expert in one thing and you're only called upon that and you're trying to use this as a learning opportunity or a growth opportunity for you, you need to share that information as well. So I'm happy to share with you that survey if that's something as you start thinking about partnerships. It's one I use in all of my classes because they're so interdisciplinary. And we also took that on and did it within our faculty and our grad assistant as well. So since Kate and I both are immersive experience designers, we had to learn like where are our strengths and where did we really want to put our time and effort. And so I became kind of the story supervisor and Kate became the production supervisor. Our grad assistant was technical support. And then Kirsten, who was with us for the first 2 weeks, she was the cultural supervisor and really was, even though she wasn't there, was available to the students to like ask questions to be like, is this culturally appropriate? As we kind of like connect between the American and Japanese cultures. Um, and I thought that was really good to share that and be transparent with the students because then it gave them a point of contact. When you have a lot of faculty leading something, sometimes they got confused as to like, well, who do I go to or who has the last word? So we kind of set up some rules too. One, go to Erin for story, go to Kate for production. But if you are asking for changes or like you want to do something, put us both on the email or both on the text. So that way, we learned, I think, in the first week that sometimes they pitted us against each other. And it helped actually to be like, no, 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 not one of us is not going to say something and the other's going to, go agree. Like, put us together and we'll agree before we say yes to you. So I think that was super important too, is transparency and making sure that your leadership is always on the same notes really helped kind of not have these kind of communication breakdowns. We also then took the students and put them in individual roles because when you have that many students and you're building something, if they all feel like they're doing it together, then usually it ends up being like two or three do the work, and then the others are like, what do you want to eat from me? So we created a specific roles, a role for each student so that they felt like that they had ownership and leadership in that role and that way they could see how they could contribute to the greater whole. And then we put leaders in on top, like as part of that, so that they had student peers as leaders who they could turn to before always coming to us. So we had an experienced designer, a creative director, a production manager, and a lead writer as the leadership team. And then underneath those teams was the lead writer really oversaw the writing team. And that included the researchers, the character designer, and the marketing director. And then the design team was under the production, and that was a scenic designer, a lighting designer, a sound designer, a systems designer, media designer, video content creator, creative technologist, and UI designer. So all of this was production oriented. And then we shared with the students. I've done this forever. Actually, it dates back all the way to my MIT days when I was building kind of like the digital media and ethics casebook and thinking about like norms in a community and like having the students help to create that norms. We had the leaders be ombudsman, which is a term very much in gaming and community games. And we had them lead, like, let's set up our guidelines that we all want to follow and participate in. So these community guidelines were created by us, by both the faculty, the TA, and the students, and our Japanese partners. So it was like one of the first things we did when we got together in Japan was like, hey, we're all new to each other as we're introducing ourselves to each other, and we're going to start working on a 2 week sprint. What are some guidelines to actually we all want to adhere to, and we can all hold each other accountable? So this respect, be a good guest, active listening, speak from your own experience, take space and make space. Not everyone knows everything, but together we know a lot. Foster collective intelligence, speaking in draft, because we wanted to encourage students that these are type A students if they're applying for something like this, and you have to be in the top 6% to get into the University of Texas at Austin. So they're very much like, I want a good grade. And we had to be like, no, it's not about a grade. This is about the experience. Let's iterate. We're going to come back to Austin. So speaking in draft, I thought was super important. And then we wanted to create a community of care. And I think that when you have so many people from different expertise and never done this before, really a sense of self-care, if they've never done a production timeline, that can be very scary for people that are used to going 24/7 or being on a film set, so really kind of showing this sense of care of like, when do you need to take a break? And hey, let's all make sure we take care of each other was kind of I feel like one of the most important guidelines. And so when we first got there, we did these workshops with the student we spent 3 days talking with them, and we got a whole tour of the four labs, and we created this community of guidelines. And the grad students met all the teams and the students and kind of like said, oh, I'm going to help out the writing team. I'm going to help out the design team. And I thought that was really helpful. After that, we needed to go and collect information. So even though they were partners, they knew that we were going to do the heavy load of it because the master students still had their own thesis projects to work on. And so we took that on of like, we'll go and collect all the assets and the data and the information. We'll go on our cultural exchange across Japan. And when we come back in the 2 week sprint, we'll be ready to go to build. And so the 6 weeks in Japan was split up between 2 weeks of going and traveling, then 2 week design sprint and build and release to the public. And then we gave the last 2 weeks of like, we did it. Let's enjoy Japan, have a sense of community of care, and we'll come back to Austin and do it again. So that's what the first workshop was. I'm going to pause really quick. Does anyone have any questions on that? Um, so it was one team of 16 of six. Yes. So we, in the end, took those four teams and merged them into one team, everyone with their own role. And I think that was harder than leaving them in four teams and letting them build their own projects, and we just oversee it. But we also thought it was a better way to think about designing an immersive experience with so many different roles and identities that need to form to create that type of work. And we wanted them to be cohesive and not click together with like, I'm just on a trip with my team. I'm on a trip with my team, and so we kind of wanted to cohesively do that. I will tell you, India and Scandinavia did not do that. They kept them in their four teams. It was probably a lot easier, but we're up for that challenge. So
Aaron,
I
I
would
have a,
keep, yeah, go ahead, Jonathan.
I just have a very, maybe a question that's I'll try to narrow down, but I'm very
Okay.
curious about when you get there and you start to have this collaboration with these grad students, especially because you haven't been able to sort of work with them the whole process. You have
Yeah.
to build a new vocabulary with them and do that cross-culturally, and then to craft an audience experience for a cultural context that you are not familiar with. And so it feels like there's a lot in there that I think we'll have to drink some time and chat
Yeah.
about it. But
Yeah.
I am curious about making sure on the one hand that your the value proposition for your collaborators is real. So
Yes.
it's not like we're going over there and we're learning from you and taking it back home. But also that you're making then something that's also really thoughtful for the audience that's there that you can only have so much knowledge about.
Yeah, yeah, really good questions, and a lot to unpack. But I will say that I think breaking bread is one of the best ways to help to find that kind of mutual exchange. And so we did that with all the faculty involved. We did a whole faculty dinner and really had some kind of time away from the labs and just the work to get to know each other. And they wanted to show us what they love about Tokyo. So it was really great to kind of let them lead as to how they wanted to engage us. And then we also did that with both the grad students and the students. We all broke bread together and we had we had some different activities that, are really good with just facilitating. What do you want to get out of this? What do I want to get out of this? Where are some commonalities and where are some differences? How do we respect those? And that was all part of the community guidelines. So the community guidelines I shared at the end was the ending of like a 2 days of workshops of us breaking bread, having some fun together. We all went to Team Lab Planets together, and Masa knew the founders of it. Um, oh, NTD. Oh, sorry. So that was actually fun to like hear it from their perspective because they knew the people that built Team Lab Planets. So I thought that was pretty interesting as well. Um, did that answer your question, Jonathan?
Yeah, that's great. We'll chat more about it, and yeah, curious to then hear how where do we go from here?
Okay, so let me keep sharing really quick. Uh, Share again, and I'll go to my, oops, Haiku Horizons. Okay, great. So let me break this into thirds, right? The 6 weeks was 2 weeks travel, 2 weeks sprint, 2 weeks, then like, hooray, we got it done. Let's have a little more, let's have some fun. So we started with going and traveling, and we began our trip at the James Turrell House. So we thought, why not be in an immersive experience in order to design it? If you don't know James Turrell, he's a light artist and architecture, and we were able to spend 2 nights in this house, and it was also very communal. And I think these are the ways that you really get students to kind of gel together. They're not going to be sleeping in their hotel room and closing their door. They were all making dinner together. They were brainstorming. We actually went to all three of these locations in the 2 weeks. So James Turrell is in Niigata, and this is also the Tunnel of Light, which is a whole gorge with art, with immersive art as you walk through the tunnel, and it ends at this space. The whole project overall was called Haiku Horizons, and haiku originated in Matsuyama. So we went to Matsuyama and we did a whole haiku workshop, learned about the storytelling and the beginnings of that. And then we ended in Naoshima Island, which is actually a fully sustainable island where they reimagined themselves. They were a fishing island that was kind of really everyone was moving away, and they reimagined themselves as an art island that has festivals 3 times a year. And as you can see, this is, a very famous artist, lots of very famous artists that do have taken over abandoned homes and turned them all into immersive experiences that students got to like actually do. While they were all here, in these three locations, each one was kind of a communal space where whether brainstorming in the lobby, brainstorming on the ferry, brainstorming at the Terrell house, like they were working and trying to gel and design their experience while they were gathering information on this and understanding the communities as well. We had them connect with nature a lot. So these are all different places in those where they were able to go out. So all the video, the sound of the experience, we all wanted it from the nature of Japan. So they were out a lot collecting data, and kind of using the environment for repurposing some of the materials, in order to think about how they could use the environment to make art. And these are some of the brainstorming sessions. I mean, like, literally, that hotel probably loved us because we took over the entire lobby to do our brainstorming sessions. Or we had a faculty house on Niigata, and we hosted them at the house for them to actually do their brainstorming there because we couldn't do it like in their hotel rooms. So we kind of just really opened it up for all, wherever we could find a place that could host us, all 20 of us, we actually continued to do work on our trip. And I thought that was really fun because it gave them a sense of purpose in each of the locations, while also being on a trip where they were, wasn't just vacation. It was like traveling with purpose is, I feel like, how we designed it. And when we returned back to Tokyo, we started working with the different labs to test out different processes. And here on the right, you can see our Geist work where we did 3 play tests as we built out the experience. And that was the rooms that they shared with us. They gave us a whole workshop. And the grad students helped the undergrads, learn how to do the biometric testing. And you can see we've put it on there and they're participating in our first draft of our story. So you might be wondering, what is this story about? Overall, they wanted the 8 guests to go through a sense of mindfulness, reflection, and renewal. And it's all told through the story of the tree. So our character designer really got to like really create a character of the tree. And then the voice kind of emerged where you're having this like this narration with the tree, and it's asking you to engage in breath work. It's asking you to write a memory and choose a branch, and it's also asking you to release it and think of a seed of intention. So there was kind of a mix of like the science of climate change and environmental issues with our story, and then the technology where we really doubled down on haptics. Here's Kate kind of working through one of our play tests. It's a quote from our script where this is kind of comes right out of the tree. It's okay to feel a little overwhelmed, but it feels even better when you realize you can grow from it. So the tree is talking directly to you. This is our sound designer, went around and collected all the different sounds that we used in our final narration. And Here's some of the materials collection that we did. So we used recycled bottles. They had a whole recycling bins throughout the university, and the grad students and undergrad students kind of got together to collect enough bottles and clean them in order to make a tree out of the recycled bottles. And then we also wanted to create a seed of intention where people would write their intention from like what they're going to do to like make an impact in their own lives for climate change. And everybody got together and made the seed paper from scratch. So those are different things we did from a fabrication standpoint. And then here's the interactions that they did. You start where you feel the heartbeat of the roots. So you can see from the embodied media lab, they actually taught the students how to use like actuators and connect the actuators to sound. And then the branches of the trees became the heartbeat. So people, when they're in the experience, can actually touch the roots of the trees and feel the heartbeat. You get this box as you enter from the forest fairies, and the box has different pieces of bark and the seed paper in it. And on the bark, you write your own intention secretly, and then you write something publicly, and you go and attach it to the tree. And then you also whisper and release. So this was one area where they had to learn to let go, because originally they were going to put a hole in the tree and you would go up and whisper to a microphone and it would release the leaves of the tree, and it was too big of a lift for the 2 week sprint. So what they did instead is they decided to let everyone whisper into their hand and release it like with like a gesture together. And it was a low tech experience, but I thought it was a really good like, hey, that's too heavy a lift for you. Figure out what you can do instead. And the students came together, workshopped it, and then brought it to us. So I thought that was really good kind of iteration of like when you can't do something, how can you still keep the ethos of the idea and do like the whisper and release? And when you left, you actually wrote a haiku that was then put onto everything. So we taught them about being fully accessible. The forest fairies had to talk if someone needed to chair rather than sitting on the ground. All of the interactive pieces were shared and reusable. Sustainable materials were used throughout the experience. And the research team really kind of wrote up that process. Here's a little bit about our haptic actuators that they learned in Tokyo. And then kind of what was great is Tokyo allowed us to bring them back, which was wonderful. So we could use them here in Austin. And then after the whole experience, we went to Hiroshima, Kyoto, and Osaka. for the students to just kind of get a little bit more cultural exchange before doing our 1 credit class here. So this is in my lab, in my spatial sound projection room. They recreated it, and instead of recreating it with plastic bottles here, I had a ton of cardboard material and like fabric. That was the costume people in the theater and dance was throwing away, and so they decided to recreate it out of those materials. So it was a totally new tree, but kind of the same ethos of that tree. And they were able to do spatial sound here, which we couldn't do in Austin. So they had a little bit more time to figure out Reaper. And this is part of the iteration. The sound team was able to like go, oh, okay, now I can actually place it on specific speakers and feel like the tree is surrounding you in the experience. Um, and that's all my images I have for it. I have a video that shows the whole experience, which I'm happy to post and share with you guys. We're just editing the final pieces of it. But we did record the whole, it's about a 15-minute piece. And we have the full experience recorded. So I'll be posting that, I'm sure, soon. So keep an eye out for that if you follow me on my Medium blog post or even on Erin B. Or what is it? Erin B. Reilly on Instagram, or LinkedIn, all of those. And that I'll stop there. I've been talking a lot. Does anyone have any more questions or anything?
I love, I mean, I want to see it. So are you going to, so
I
that's,
know, right? I can
so,
show it to you. I can show you pieces of it.
well, no, I mean, in person though, do you all plan to, like, what's to me, one of the most amazing parts of it is them recreating it. Once
Yes.
they kind of get the ethos and iterating on it and recreating it, making it for South by Southwest or something along those lines, it's just so cool. Um,
Yeah, the recreating I think is really good. I feel like we set that up well with our partners. And the other thing, just to kind of wrap up partnerships, since this was about building partnerships and what did Japan get out of it? One, 3 of the students, which I think is a pretty good one, are applying to the master's program. So pulling that out of like thin air when I was like, oh shit, what am I gonna do here? It actually worked. So yay, that works. That like getting undergrad and grad students to like come together in different ways, I think is a good way to encourage undergraduate students to really start thinking about it. And I had one, Sienna, who's undergrad, she's a senior, and she was like, I never would have thought about this, but KO is I felt like I could really belong there. So I think that's a quote I will definitely be putting in my final reflection is like, wow, that's a win for partnerships that if they get some new grad students. The other thing is we've been talking with them. I put them in touch with the Japanese coordinator of South by Southwest to get them to come to South by Southwest so we could actually share it. So we've been talking a little bit about, is that possible? If it's not at South by Southwest, I'm sure it'll be at another festival. I think the students all want a little bit of a break. I mean, a year-long commitment is a lot for undergraduate students, and especially because fall was only 1 credit. We met with them 3 times and expected them to kind of work on their own to finish it out and get ready. So I kind of feel like it should maybe be 2 and 2 instead of 3 and 1. Those are just kind of tips I would give people, like just to feel like the buy-in is throughout the whole thing. Because I will tell you, we lost a few students at the end that I'm like, I don't know, one person didn't even show up to like do the final production. And you're like, what's going on? You know? And I did lose one student in the summertime. So there, in regards to like, is this a heavy lift? And like, could there be someone who completely disrupts it? Just expect yes. And you have to be prepared on like how to manage that and how to keep morale up and how to handle if you have to let someone go and what does that look like? And then how do you replace their role? Because it wasn't like one team and it just lost one person. The whole 16 students was down to 15 and one role was gone because everyone had their own role. So there's a lot of lessons learned here. I would probably do it a little bit differently, but I also think that this was a really good success for a year.
Yeah, I think somebody asked the question, would you be doing this again with a new cohort? And I think
I think I need a year break. I definitely wouldn't do it every year. I think it's a huge lift for faculty. And I'm still waiting to get reimbursed from July, welcome to university administration. So it's like I don't want to do this every year. But I do think that I took things away that I do differently in my coursework now. And speaking about full circle partnership, Kate, who was a faculty member in another college, and we kind of knew each other when we returned. And she's about 10 years younger than me. She's so dynamic. I feel like I'm looking at a younger version of me. I asked her to be associate director of my institute. And that was just from our conversations of her saying, I really want to learn how you raise money, how you build this thing. I want to do this myself one day. And I was like, I think you'd be amazing at this. Come be part of the institute, take on a leadership role, and you're going to help me by taking things off my plate, and I'll help you be that, do that on your own, and I think that if you are in that position, always look to who you can partner with and help grow, help mentor and grow and create and keep on creating this world.
Awesome. Well, we're 5 minutes over, and I want to, let people ask questions if they want, but also let others go if they want to. And Erin, please do share the video because I think that's
I
what
will.
we're all pretty excited about. And we'll put that, we'll append that to the recording of this also, or put it on our YouTube so that people can go check it out.
Yeah, and I apologize. I'm happy to stay a little longer because it didn't work at the beginning. But also just know that this is like hot off the presses. So if I'm rambling a little bit, it's because we are still like synthesizing this whole year of development. And I'm really curious to see what the students say tomorrow. I keep watching their presentation change, and I'm like, huh, okay, this is interesting what they're saying, so it'll be good to kind of come full circle and be writing about it in the next month or so.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you. And I guess we'll hope everybody got the link to apply if you would like to present sometime. And also the link to the website if you all would like to join IXAlliance. And hope to see you all in a month from now on building 3D worlds and monetizing them. And I'm not sure if the board is going to stay on here or if we're going to meet somewhere else.
Oh,
Are we meeting?
yeah, we are meeting. We can just stop recording and
Got it.
meet from here.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We'll do that.